This is 757 Saturday Sports Talk with Matt Hatfield on ESPN Radio 94.1.
And good Saturday morning to you all out there on this 16th day of January, the year 2021. Hope everyone is doing well. No snow out there on the ground, and we're not complaining about it. It is 757 Saturday Sports Talk here on ESPN Radio 94.1, powered by Larry King Law. If you're injured in an accident, you call 757-INJURED for Larry King. I am Matt Hatfield. We've got Dino Franza back with us, other side of the glass. He's still repping his Bears sweatshirt today, even though they had a very rough performance last week. But I'm not sure they're as bad right now as your Blackhawks in hockey or your Bulls in basketball, who blew a big lead last night. And I know the Blackhawks did not have a good opener to begin the hockey season.
No, they got crushed by the Tampa Bay Lightning on Wednesday night, the Stanley Cup champions. So you see where you stand right out of the gate. Not very good. And, the Bulls, tough loss last night. They lose in overtime. But, the Bears, they're sticking with their GM and their coach. You kind of surprised about that? I am, and they could use some offense from either the Bulls or the Blackhawks, even as bad as they've been at times. Although your Bulls have been pretty competitive until last night in some close games. They played the Lakers close. They played a lot of those West teams really well in the first half. And you've been spoiled with a lot of championships with both the Bulls and the Blackhawks. So we're not going to shed too many tears for you. It was the Cubs we shed tears for you over until they won a few years back. My teams like the Cardinals and the Diamondbacks only got one with Diamondbacks, and big Utah Jazz Stockton Malone fan. We got our hearts broken time and time again by your Bulls led by Jordan and them. So the phone lines are open to talk to us this morning at 757-687-9494. Let's tell you everything that's going on. We'll have a couple of guests. In fact, we're going to, in just a moment, fire up this basketball scoreboard music, the old NBA on NBC, John Tesh Round Ball Rock, because we got some high school basketball scores, believe it or not, to tell you about. But first things first, we'll tell you about who's coming on the show today. We will hopefully hear from my normal cohort, the coach Ed Young, who's on assignment today. We were expecting that since the Suffolk Public Schools were among the many school divisions in Hampton Roads that pulled the plug on winter sports, which includes basketball. So he's probably pulling his hair out. I didn't pull my hair out, I just got a haircut instead of pulling my hair out. So who knows what Ed is up to at this moment as we speak. Nonetheless, we will talk at 10:25, 10:30 or so this morning and the next segment of the program to Jason Clark. He is a former standout basketball player at Kellam High and Bayside in Virginia Beach, all Tidewater, all beach performer. Went on to play at the University of Virginia and then got into some coaching at Salem, first on the boys' side, helping out as an assistant. Now he's the head girls basketball coach of Salem High, which is among the 11 Virginia Beach schools that will open up basketball and winter sports play next week. All things go according to plan, and we'll keep our fingers crossed and toes crossed for those kids that everything happens with no major hiccups or any issues COVID-related. So we'll talk with Jason Clark, who I want to say his girls' team may be opening up Tuesday with Lance. Who knows at this point? So we'll talk with him around 10:25, 10:30 this morning. We'll also chat with Bennett Conlon. He covers UVA sports, basketball, football, and so much more for the Daily Progress up there in the Charlottesville area. So we'll get an update on the Cavaliers, who, by the way, have won 10 in a row over Clemson on the hardwood on the men's side. 6 of those have been by 7 points or less. They'll try to make it 11 tonight in a matchup of top 20 ACC basketball teams. There was so many non-ranked teams that they got a few teams now getting ranked: Louisville, Florida State, the Hoos, and the Tigers. Yeah, the ACC starting to come on a little bit earlier in the season when they had with the Big Ten, the challenge that they do. The Big Ten just got off to a great start this year. The ACC did not look good, in particular Duke, remember, with those back-to-back losses.
Bad.
And now you look at the ACC, it looks like they're starting to get that footing going.
Duke only plays about once every 12 days at this point. They don't get many games in. So we'll chat about the Cavaliers' big one tonight with Bennett Conlon at the end of the hour. And top of the next hour, you'll hear two parts of our extended interview with attaboy Jerry, the former Green Bay Packers great and Hall of Famer Jerry Kramer, part of our Legends of Sports update, brought to us by Coach Charles Hatcher of Sports Inside and Out. Coach Hatcher, formerly of Norview High School, great way back in the day as a player, and he got into the coaching side of things as well. He brings us a lot of the greats in all the walks of sports, some from the area, some not. And we'll talk about the Packers and some great stories with Lombardi with Jerry Kramer in the 11 o'clock hour, and then we'll do the NFL picks. We won't do pick 3. We'll just pick all 4 games since we're not down to everything. But I got to give you some props. Your dogs have been great lately. You are now, by my count, 10-8 on the year. If you throw in last week's winner where you get the Rams beating the Seahawks outright. And that's a big turnaround from what were you at one point? Like 3-7, 4-7? You've been red hot.
Yeah, I think I was about 4 under, I believe.
You've been rolling here. I did win the regular season over Ed comfortably. I was 28-18-2 against the spread, the best I'll probably ever do. Ed was 21-27. Although we won't remind him that we both were 4-2 straight up last week, and I was 3-3 against the number. He was 4-2. He always gets me in the playoffs for whatever the reason. I don't know what it is. He's got secret codes or cheat codes.
Maybe this year will be different.
I'm hoping. I'm only a game back. I can make that up this week. I feel pretty good about it. And as you heard Dino say in the last update, we've got NFL playoff football action for you later on. It'll come after Old Dominion men's basketball. I'll give you a quick thought on that in a little bit here as they take on Rice in game 2 of their back-to-back daily double dip here in Conference USA action. You got the Rams, Packers, 4:30, and the Ravens at the Bills. And we gave you a 7-5-7 connection last week, and we did the picks on every game. Not sure I've got one for every game, but we'll give you some as we move along. But let's fire up the scoreboard because we got some scores, believe it or not. Yeah, we got a few scores to tell you about. Not many, but a few, enough to whet the appetite. Hey, they always say something's better than nothing. And we've got some for you across the area in high school basketball action as last night the Grafton Clippers in the Bay Rivers District got it done, got the W's. First on the boys' side, beating Poquoson by a count of 39-30 as Cole George, a.k.a. Cole Triple, led the way, 17 points, 4 3-balls for the Clippers as they beat the Islanders to move to 4-0 on the season. They are scheduled to face Bruton on Wednesday at Grafton. The girls also won it, 59-17 over Tab. Victorious there for them. They could be a Class 4 contender, as believe it or not, folks, now with Norfolk, Chesapeake, Portsmouth, Suffolk, Hampton, and Newport News all out. There are 318 member schools in the Virginia High School League. 72 have decided not to play winter sports as we speak to you this morning. In that region, it's down to 2 schools. I'm sure this is going to delight Keith, 2 schools in Region 4A out of the 14 that can compete for the playoffs. It's Smithfield, it's Grafton. If they get that far, one will go to states, one will go home. So Keith has a 50-50 chance at that shot.
And the chances Keith calls in if that happens.
That's better than 50-50. That's about 95%. So there you have it. Grafton a winner. No games yet for Smithfield. I think they're going to begin next week, probably the day after Martin Luther King Day, which would be Tuesday. So I'll give you a couple more scores to tell you about in the world of high school basketball last night. York a winner over the Tab Tigers. They were victorious, and the score was 77-43 for York. Good win there. And a couple of players standing out for them, including Isaiah Lemuel, who had 27 points for Mr. Lemuel, and Milan Smith-Walker added 19. Just a sophomore, Milan Smith-Walker, a name to watch out for there on the hardwood in high school hoops. A couple more girls' scores for you last night. It was Catholic. We didn't jinx Larry Bowman when he came on the show back in, November? It was not long after the Dodgers won the World Series. His girls are rolling 6-3 on the year. They defeat Nansman Suffolk Academy 61-31 behind a game-high 25 points from Kate Carlson, the Kempsville transfer. She also had 7 rebounds, 5 steals. Norfolk Christian, a winner over Greenbrier Christian, 60-36. And the Stewart School defeating Norfolk Academy 57-24. Some games scheduled for today on the girls' side for basketball. Bruton's at New Kent at 6 o'clock today. But as we go backwards to forwards here in terms of the beginning start time, 3:30 will be Poquoson at Grafton, and Tab is slated to play at York at 12:30 p.m. A couple scores I'll also tell you about from Thursday night's action involving Hampton Roads teams. King William beat Poquoson 49-46, despite a pretty good game from Poquoson's Wyatt Freeman, who had 14 points. And on the girls' side from Thursday, it was Catholic over Cape Henry 77-18, Norfolk Christian 47, Peninsula Catholic 23. That's our abbreviated, and I do mean abbreviated, scoreboard for high school hoops. Maybe we'll have more for you next week, Dino, when the Beach District, hopefully, Lord willing, as Ed likes to say, joins the fun and joins the party.
Yeah, there was a lot of news in high school sports this week about the postponement or cancellation of the winter seasons. Some more got into the mix, but so far Virginia Beach, keep your fingers crossed.
Yeah, let me give you a couple quick thoughts on that, and I think our buddy Keith may be calling in now as we look here. But the Beach is going to hopefully play beginning next week. I know there is no right answer to this. There's some conflicting opinions on this. I mean, the virus is the virus. It doesn't only infect people inside and not outside, and we're not supposed to have large gatherings. And I'm not going to bash any administrators for deciding not to play. What I will do, though, is I will say I don't quite understand the messages some are sending when they cancel winter sports on a day, and then they put out the message, hey, we're going to play fall sports, and we're going to begin conditioning next week. James City County starts football and fall sports conditioning on Monday. So how you cite the health metrics on a Tuesday or Wednesday this week as your reason, and then you go ahead. I mean, that's again, this is going to be harsh to say. And again, Portsmouth was one that put out a tweet saying, we're not doing winter sports, but guess what? We're going to play fall sports. It comes off kind of tone deaf to me. I'm sorry. And I'm frightened for our youth when I see this, because there's some folks that just feel like, hey, it is what it is. I'll give you a quick sentence, Dino, that was in the paper. Larry Rabama did a neat story on a track event this week at the Virginia Beach Sports Center. So this is the first paragraph. Nearly 2,500 athletes from 40 states will converge on Virginia Beach this week for the Virginia Showcase meet at the Virginia Beach Sports Center. It's in its 5th year, and it's the nation's largest indoor track meet. Again, 2,500 athletes from almost 40 different states. Yet we won't do anything. I'm not understanding this. Someone help me. Well, Matt, it's not associated with the VHSL. I grasp that. But how that happens, and we won't, 10 people in a gym for about, again, I'm having a hard time understanding that. So help me out if you like. You can tweet me at 757 Sports Talk or my personal Twitter at Hatfield Sports, or you can call in at 757-687-9494. That's area code 757-687-9494. I'm frightened for our youth. And again, football is king. We totally get that. I'm all for it if we can do it safely, playing any of these sports, football included. But the thing that just gets me is the VHSL and other people will say, well, we're about everything being equal. No. You're not about scholastic bowl and swimming and track and wrestling equal to football. Let's just call it what it is. Now, if you just be honest about it, okay, I can live with that, because we know football is king on all levels of sports. But don't sit here and say you're doing it because of health metrics, because I'm going to give you some numbers real quick. Let me give you a couple quick numbers, and I'll get off this little rant. Because, again, I don't want to anger people. We're in a tough time in our world. We got a lot of unrest with the virus, unrest with all the crazy stuff going on outside of sports, inside of sports. So I'm not trying to get people all ruffle feathers. But, again, the 7-day positivity rate, which you can find online, by the way, just go to the website, the vdh.virginia.gov website about coronavirus. It's 19% for the county of Lenowisco, which is like the cities out west, the Lee County, the J.I. Burton, some of those that are playing, near the Virginia-Tennessee border. 19%.
Which is quite high.
It's high. I'm not saying that they should or shouldn't, but again, they've played upwards, Dino, of 6, 7, 8 basketball games. And they're playing. Prince William County, which is, your Potomacs of the world, your C.D. Hiltons, your Garfields, Freedom, Woodbridge, 18.3%. A lot of them have played several games, some 5, 6, 7 games. 18.3%. And again, I'm not saying that Hampton Norfolk made the wrong decision. Hampton 17.7%, Norfolk 16.4%. So they're lower, others are higher. We've got this mess with the VHSL where we're going to have a tournament where you have 2 teams out of a region playing. I mean, that's not a playoff. Like I said, and I wrote this back in early January, I think the move they should have made, but they were too prideful and they didn't want to admit that it would have to be uncomfortable for them, was to push it back March, April, do a season then, which is similar to what Frederick County has rolled out, by the way. They're going to have a winter and fall sports season later, as they hope the numbers will be going down by then and more vaccines will be rolled out. They just won't compete for a state title. And let's be honest, every kid now, that whether they win one or not, they're going to say you didn't have to play so-and-so to win it. And that's not fair to these kids. I mean, last year you had teams in basketball get co-champions, and they all heard about, you're not the real champion, you're the co-champion. I mean, these kids would have been happy with a 10, 12, 14-game season just playing their district teams in the spring. And if it overlaps, it overlaps. It's already been overlapping, and they're sharing athletes. So, again, I don't quite understand that. That's enough of my rant on that, because I'll just get too fired up for the rest of the show and won't be able to stay on task with the things I need to do. 757-687-9494 is the number. Go ahead.
This thing is not working properly.
Oh,
so,
no.
We do have Keith in Smithfield.
Oh, we do? We do have Keith in Smithfield. Let's see if he agrees or disagrees or has any thoughts. Keith, your Packers are still in play, but a lot of Hampton Roads teams, a lot of sad athletes across the area right now.
Good morning, Matt Hatfield. How you doing this morning?
I'm good. You got me back on track. I was getting a little riled up, but hearing your voice settles me down.
Yes, feeling good this morning.
As you should.
Sometimes you got to be sad because a lot of schools are opting out. They're not playing basketball like King Folk, the Powerhouse, and them down there, they ain't playing.
Yeah, a lot of teams are out. Teams that we had ranked in our Virginia Prep's top 10 rankings across the 6 divisions, Keith. We're talking about Western Branch, Oscar Smith, Kickingham, Maury, Norview, Kings Fork, which won a title last year, Menchville, Woodrow Wilson out of Portsmouth. They're all out. Even some of the northern neck schools like Lancaster, for example, won one a few years back. They're out as well.
The John Marshall team, man,
they're out.
They supposed to play the other night, deep run. They probably played last other week.
No, they're playing as their travel club team, Blue Magic. And that's another thing. They're going to find a way to play. There's going to be games that, whether it's Boo Williams Sportsplex or the Virginia Beach Sports Center. And again, you got to know this was going to happen. I mean, I'm not saying right or wrong. I just don't. The consistency is what bugs me. We're going to say that. And then, by the way, Keith, they're going to start football conditioning. Even counties that have called off winter sports starting Monday. Williamsburg, James City County is starting conditioning Monday. They're not having a basketball winter sports season. I don't understand that. Do you understand that?
I don't understand that because those seniors, if they play basketball, man, they don't get the opportunity to play. They shined it last year.
Not to mention it's a holiday, Martin Luther King Day. But go ahead.
And other thing, I'll try to figure who Smithfield going to open up against after the Martin Luther King.
For basketball, that's a great question. Let me see if I have that in front of me. I know I got a bunch of emails and documents that were sent to me. I'm showing this may not be accurate, Keith, so you might want to check with some of your Smithfield sources. But according to the district website for the Bay Rivers, it's telling me that they are slated to play Wednesday against Poquoson. But that may not be accurate, so don't take that as 100% there.
Okay, I get one of them coaches.
Yeah, if Mr. Moore, I think he's AD out there, if he's listening, or anybody out there from Smithfield, administrator, coach-wise, give us a holler at 757-687-9494. I know Coach Porter listens quite a bit too, Coach Theodis Porter. Give us a text or call, 757-687-9494. Tweet the show at 757 Sports Talk. Give us a definite one way or the other on that, but that's what I'm showing on the website here.
I want to give my shout-out to Coach Porter. If he's on air this morning, I want to give my shout-out to him. Good morning, Coach. What's going on out there, man?
Well, he's going to have a pretty good team and a good chance now. It's between y'all and Grafton for the 4A. There's just 2 teams now competing for a region. It was 14, but it's now down to 2. They got a 50-50 shot.
Okay, and last thing, get off air.
Last thing.
The NFL, to get ready for the NFL picks today. I'm going against Baltimore because we got one of those guys from the 757.
We do.
Clock on that team.
Kings Fork High. Dino's been red hot with his dogs, Keith. Do you have an underdog Dino should look at hard here when he makes his picks at the end of the show? You got one you want to give him any advice, or is Dino smart enough he doesn't need your advice?
We said to repeat the word we said again.
So do you have an underdog pick? So technically against the point spread, that the 4 doggies, the 4 bow wows are the you have in the NFC the Rams playing the top seeded Packers. You have in the AFC the Browns playing the top seeded Chiefs. They're both underdogs. And you also have technically the Ravens are a slight dog against the Bills, and Tom Brady and the Bucks trying to avoid losing to the Saints for a 3rd time this year. They're also an underdog.
I got the Buccaneers, the slight edge to beat the one of the Saints.
Okay. All right, a lot of people like that one.
I think Green Bay going to beat the Rams because the Rams is going to be cold in Lambeau Field. It's going to be hard for the Rams going in there and beat them.
When is it not cold in Lambeau Field except the months of June, July, and August? It's always cold there this time of year.
Then I got my home 757 local guy, Derek Noddy. I think the Kansas City Chiefs is going to beat Cleveland Browns.
How about that? We got a Noddy Clark, Ocean Lakes, Kings Fork, former standouts, one who played at Florida State, one who played at Virginia Tech, meeting in the AFC Championship game, potentially, and we'll ensure ourselves a 757 standout playing in another Super Bowl. That'd be neat.
Yes, sir. Yeah, have a nice day. Tell Ed Young say hey.
I will do so. That is the one and only Keith from Smithfield, Yellow Brick Road, Green Brick Road, everywhere in between. He's all over. Hampton Road's favorite. A couple quick thoughts before we go to break here on 757 Saturday Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1. Old Dominion, tough loss, as you heard Dino mention, against Rice yesterday, 69-59. The women also fell to Rice, which was not as big of a stunner. Rice and the ODU women were right there battling for the Conference USA title, but I don't know if you saw this or not, Dino. Rice was picked in Lindy's magazine 14th, dead last in Conference USA, and right now they're 4-1 in the league. And they were 14 of 40. They shot 43s.
Yes.
Yesterday in that game.
And only made 14 of them.
Well, but you know what's crazy? I looked this up. And ODU was 9-1 all time against Rice. Their only other loss came back on February 12th of 2016, 75-66 at the then Ted, now Chartway Arena. Marcus Evans of Chesapeake fame, played at Great Bridge and Cape Henry, had 20 that day for the then coached Mike Rhodes-led Owls. That Rice team was 5 of 11 from 3. This one, 14 of 40. Every foe of ODU. People talk about, with ODU. And I think they've done all right. They're 3-2 in the league. I think they're improving. They're not what I'd say the favorite in the league. They're not where Western Kentucky is or some other teams. But, Xavier Green, A.J. Oliver, Joe Reese, they go combined 0 for 11 from 3. Well, here's the stat that sticks out to me about ODU so far. Every foe of theirs has made at least 7 threes. In 11 games, and the Monarchs are 7-4, they've made 59 threes. Their opposition, 104 threes. So they've been outscored by 135 points already from the three-point line. And amazingly, they're 7-4. So I think, people talk about the scoring droughts, but got to guard the three ball a little bit better. That's going to be the key if they can stay right there near the top of the Conference USA mix before the tournament and have a chance for a postseason spot, whether it's NCAA or what have you. So that's the key to me is, people talk about, well, they got to get more out of Green, they got to get more of this guy, that guy. Malik Curry is doing a lot of the scoring. Sometimes Ezikbe's great, sometimes he's not as great. Austin Trice has stepped up. Got to guard the three ball. That's going to be the key to me.
They've been doubled up on threes this year.
That's a lot. Think about that. They've made 59. That's, almost that's between 5 and 6 a game, but they've given up 104 made threes. Every team's made at least 7, even Division III Virginia Wesleyan, who made 10 on them. So that's going to be, to me, the crux for the Monarchs. Can they get it done in terms of guarding the three ball when it comes to all that? What'd you think, real quick, the national championship the other night, Alabama, Ohio State? I was not surprised that the Crimson Tide won. Once one of their better DBs, Jordan Battle, got ejected in the second quarter for targeting, and it was 21-14. They held the Buckeyes to a field goal there. Little surprised that they just pulled away so easy, and that game was a laugher in the second half.
Yeah, I think, I don't know if it was maybe the Ohio State just, they only played, going into that game, was it 6 games?
Not many, 6 or 7.
And it didn't. Yeah, I think it was the 7th game. But you could just see where Alabama just looked almost like at a different level that night.
2 quick thoughts, and maybe next week we'll have a little more time to dive into the way too early top 25s for some of these football people out there. Mike Farrell of Rivals and Mark Schlabach of ESPN. But 2 things. People talk about Alabama being wide receiver U, and understandably so, with Jerry Jeudy and Amari Cooper, and now you got Devontae Smith, Jalen Waddle, future pro studs, potentially. Listen to these running backs in the NFL in the Nick Saban era that have run for more than 2,000 yards in their careers. Just under Saban in his time there. And he hasn't been there, 20, 30 years. He's been there about, 10, 12 years. Mark Ingram, Derrick Henry, Eddie Lacy, Kenyon Drake, Trent Richardson, TJ Yeldon, Josh Jacobs. And look for Najee Harris to be the 8th. So as much as people say it's wide receiver U or it's this U, Alabama's putting out running backs, and they're all producing in the pros.
Could you imagine if you look at the running backs, wide receivers that go to the NFL, you imagine if they were a factory for quarterbacks like that?
Oh, I know. It'd be insane. Another thing I caught, which was in Bob Molinaro's weekly briefing in the pilot, I didn't realize this, but it makes sense considering the guy's got 7 of these national titles, 6 there with the Crimson Tide in Tuscaloosa. Every player recruited by Nick Saban who has stayed 4 years has won at least 1 national title. So if you're a 5-star, and I'm not one advocating, again, I can't be in the internet recruiting business with Rivals. If you're a 5-star, top 15 player in the country, why would you not go to Alabama? Because you're going to get a ring. It's going to happen.
You got that about a 4-year rotation for championships, I guess.
They have been dominant, so there you have it. We will take a timeout and come back with more, including Jason Clark, former UVA standout, now coaching the Salem girls basketball team. Get his thoughts on next week. Excited, apprehension, a little bit of both. That's coming your way next on 757 Saturday Sports Talk, powered by Larry King Law, right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.